All right, everyone, it's time for polling analysis here. Real Clear polling, available, link in the description. Not archived, because it's just a rolling average. We have to look at the latest Marist poll. And several people showed this to me, and they're wondering, what's this anomaly that we're seeing? What you've got is a poll in which they have a Trump v. Biden head-to-head matchup. And Biden leads by 2 points in that polling, actually, in the latest poll. Not in the aggregate, of course. He's still behind by almost a point there. In a five-way race, so when you consider RFK Jr., Cornel West, Jill Stein, Cornel West has basically disappeared off the radar. The intellectual leftoid versus Jill Stein, the craptivistic leftoid, he may end up dropping out in the end, of course, and most of those votes go to her. In that, Trump is ahead by 4 points. Well, God, that's a 6-point gap. That's millions of voters. What gives? Here's my explanation of it. And I strongly suspect that people should take statistics if they happen to be in college. Like if any clankers are going through their secondary education, take stats. Take intermediate statistics. It's boring. It's not necessarily the most fun course that you can take, but there are damn lies in statistics, and it's probably a good idea to do so, especially if you intend to do any form of socio-political commentary whatsoever. That and linguistics and logic. Those would be the big three. That's what I took. Somehow I passed statistics, even though on the midterm exam I was high on Datura at the time. Interesting story. I've told it before. Yeah, I took a bunch of Datura seeds and was half blazed out of my mind and wasted, and still got a B+, if I remember correctly, on that exam. I surprised myself. I'm like, what the fuck? Anyway, here's how you explain the anomaly. It's called standard deviation. The thing is that when we look at these polls, and also the fact that there are undecided voters, like in most cases, when you look at polls that are aggregated, especially lately, there are a lot of people that are still undecided. They have not backed Trump or Biden. In the five-way, you get a more accurate result, I think, generally, from state to state and in the general election, because that's the political reality. There will be people at the end that cast their vote for RFK Jr., that cast their vote for Jill Stein or whatever. Some of these are protest votes. There will be some people who vote for Chase Oliver, the Libertarian candidate. Technically speaking, there are now 6 in the race. I'm wondering why, by the way, the polling firms don't put Chase Oliver in there when they do include Cornel West, who is a blip on the radar. I'm not exactly sure. Could it be for a political reason? I think probably so. Chase Oliver, not necessarily representative of puristic libertarianism, but he is still a candidate for, if not a major party, at least an organized political party. I'm wondering why he has not appeared yet. I guess maybe they'll catch up. Maybe there'll be 6-way polling soon. We'll see what effect that has. I have a feeling it takes more from the left than from the right, which is hilarious to me and probably helpful for Donald Trump. The latest Marist polling has that 6-point gap, partially because in the cohorts that they're sampling, there are people that say none of the above, or undecided, or something like that. And usually it adds up to like 85 points or something in the 2-way polling. In the 5-way polling, usually you get closer to a 100% actual result. It gets into the 90s. There's still an undecided factor. People that apparently can't choose between 5 different fucking candidates, European style. But it's closer. And so the difference that you see is really a difference between the us versus them football team mythology and the all-inclusive, hey, there's a broad spectrum of different candidates reality for voters to choose from. Unfortunately, you don't get the same cohort, though. Now, do you? Because they're getting one or the other poll, generally speaking. This is not always the case, but typically you've got a different sample that you're working with for the 2 different polls. With the Marist poll, therefore, you see a 6-point gap opening up. A significant advantage for Trump when other people are thrown into the race, with higher turnout, with less undecided voters. And then on the other end, you get Biden with a slight advantage when people are capable of sitting it out and saying neither of these individuals. This also shows you one other thing, which is fascinating. It shows you the soft support aspect of the election. That is, that there are a significant number of people that when really pressed, they will go in one direction or the other, or they'll protest vote. But in a one-to-one match, they would prefer not to vote at all. Those people, by and large, they're going to have low turnout. They're not going to impact the election. It'll probably benefit neither Trump nor Joe Biden. In the end, a lot of them will stay home, and for the rest of them that do show up to pull the lever, there will be some people that vote third party. They're like, I can't stand either of these dudes, or they'll flip a coin or something like that. In the end, therefore, in the aggregational sense, within statistics, you don't really have any real sea change. And this is what I analyzed. When RFK Jr. first switched from Dem to Independent, a lot of people told me, well, this is the silver bullet against Trump. And I told them no, that he's going to take about as many votes from Biden as Trump. These are soft supporters. Most people have made up their minds. The majority of the public already backs Trump or Biden. And they're very hardened in that loyalty. That's about 70% of the public, maybe 75%. The rest are technically up for grabs. A lot of them, though, in the end, will protest vote, or they'll go 50-50 for both candidates. That's the long and short of it. Analyzing these particular numbers just corroborates that concept. The difference between the two cohorts that are being worked with here is very, very telling, actually, if you've analyzed statistics. It's extremely telling. It doesn't tell you the whole story, though. I mean, we still have to look at the velocity of polling in general. We have to look at individual states as opposed to just the general election. This is a general poll. It doesn't necessarily carry over to Arizona. It doesn't necessarily carry over to Pennsylvania or Georgia or Virginia or Minnesota or any of the other states that are on the table. We'll be talking today in the live stream about the new Roanoke, Virginia poll. My goodness, Biden does not want that state to be tied. Just saying, that's pretty damning for you when a state goes pretty far blue for a multitude of election cycles and you're breaking even. That's not good news for the Biden campaign. We'll be talking about that as well. In the latest Marist poll, though, you've got a 6-point gap between those two results. It's very meaningful. At the same point, it is meaningless in the sense of getting a final number. Technically speaking, there's a 5-way race, now with Chase technically 6-way, for the presidency. Many people are ingrained to think of it, though, as a very dichotomous thing. Republican v. Democrat. That will also be of import. Right now, we're too far out. We're at the end of May, so we've got a few more months till we can kind of foreshorten the polls and figure, well, there's probably not going to be any last-minute surprises unless they're lawfare related, and then we can analyze from there. Right now, though, if the election were held, Donald Trump, I would expect to take 5 of the 6 battleground states and possibly pick off one of the lean blue states that are technically up in the air. They're technically in play. Virginia would be key, I suppose. That would be a big win, by the way. That'd be a huge pickup. I think they've got like 13 electoral points, or is it 18, something like that, somewhere in that neck of the woods. That would be a big pickup, but we don't know because we don't have enough polling. And I want the polling firms, please, don't just focus on the battlegrounds of yesteryear. Focus on some that are emerging. New Hampshire, Maine, Minnesota, Virginia. All 4 of those are in play as well. They need to be polled for more. That's about all. Peace out.